Hi guys, today we're going to be doing some looks with the new Nomad palette, which I am so excited about. I think as soon as I saw this, I opened the package, I was like, this is my new favorite Nomad palette that they've ever come out with. Like, the color story in this is so beautiful, and I knew as soon as they started sneak peeking the outside of the packaging, which looks like this, which is absolutely amazing. Like, it has like 3D effects on it. It's almost like, it's really hard to explain, but I hope you can see sort of what the texture is like, because this is, like I said, all 3D. It's all kind of like, you can feel it, you know, it's almost like it's laser cut in a way. Like, it is so beautiful, but this is all jewel tones, and I was like, this has to be an all jewel tone palette. And oh, isn't this so pretty? Like, I love this color story, and this bottom row is all full of multi-chromes, and I think they nailed it with this. So this is the Royal Europe palette, and sadly mine came a little bit banged up on here, which is so sad because the packaging is beautiful, and it's like, why me? At least the shadows are intact, but I think this palette is so stunning. I'm excited to do some looks with this. This is going to launch on the 28th at 12 a.m. EST, if I'm not mistaken. I really don't like when brands do like 12 because it's confusing to me, probably because I'm used to like Europe times. So like 12, I'm like, wait, when is 12 a.m. and when is 12 p.m.? I don't know, that could just be me. But it says 12:01 a.m. EST, so I will have the information down below in the description box if you are interested. I also do have an affiliated code with Nomad, which is just Annette, and it will save you 10% off if you are interested in picking anything up. So I've already done 2 looks with this because I wanted to sit down and play with this. We're going to do 1 look on camera, and then I will show you the other 2 looks that I've done, sort of just talking through them. So I'm just going to go ahead and start by priming my eyes, and I think today I want to do something mostly just like pink and purple in my crease with the blue multi-chrome on my lid. I think that's going to be the plan. I feel like I haven't really used that shade that much. And I've definitely used all of the multi-chrome so far, and I think they're really, really pretty. One thing I will say is that they don't really swatch the best. They swatch a little bit sheerly, but used on the eyes with a glitter primer, especially with a glitter primer, they really pop. They're not the most metallic multi-chromes that I have in my collection. Some are more metallic than others, but they look so beautiful on the eyes, and they wear so insanely well. For being all black-based multi-chromes, I tend to struggle with them creasing on my eyes. My Cleona ones crease. Pretty much any black-based multi-chrome will crease on my eyes, and these barely had any creasing at all. I wore them for like very, very long days. We're talking like 14 hours, and I had like a tiny bit of creasing, but nothing that couldn't be fixed by just like tapping my finger over once, and it was totally fine. So super impressed by the lasting power on these, and I think, like I said, they just look really nice on the eyes. Even though they're not the most insane multi-chromes that I have in my collection, they're still so pretty. So I think what I want to do is I'm thinking these 2 colors in my crease, or maybe even these 2. I could use the purple too, but the purple I have used already. I haven't really used these 2, which I don't think I'm going to use them in this look either, because I really want to use this shade, and I don't feel like pairing it with blues and greens. Not that they're really greens, they're more like teals, but I think I want to pair this shade with like this corner. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to start with this shade, and we'll kind of see what I end up deepening it up with, but I think no matter what I choose, it's going to look really nice. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this as my transition shade. And I feel like I've pretty much done the same sort of shape, if you will, in all of my looks, but sometimes you just want to do like something that you know is going to work, something that you know is going to look good, and usually that is just a transition shade, a deepening shade, and some lid shades. So that's what I'm going to do today too, but I am playing around with different color combinations and just kind of seeing what it is that I like pairing together. So even though the shapes are the same, I haven't really done any like winged out shapes. Well, the first one was kind of winged out, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. It's okay to do the same look all the time, just, you know, play with different color combinations and stuff, and it's not going to look exactly the same still. If you're someone who prefers having lighter shades to blend out with, or to have as transition shades, you might have to bring in something else to use some of these, because a lot of them are quite dark, and there really isn't like a transition shade except for in the blues, which there is a pastel. Just something to keep in mind if that is something that you feel like is missing, but it's so easy to just pull in another palette and get the shade that you want from there if you feel like you need something to blend some of these out with. Personally, I'm totally okay with having something this dark as a transition shade. You just have to be a little bit careful so that it doesn't get too out of hand right away, which it may have, like right there. I feel like I pulled that up a little bit too high. And don't worry about it not being perfect. Like, I'm not trying to make it look like perfect in my crease here because I'm gonna blend or put another shade there anyway. So I think I'm just gonna leave it this way. I'm just gonna kind of put down the shades and then we'll see where I go from there. I think I'm gonna try to deepen it up with this shade just because I haven't used this one yet. This is the shade called Great Hall. Just gonna do that in the outer corner of my eye as well as blend it into my crease. And that is looking really nice. Like, that is building on top and blending so beautifully. And I feel like it's showing up a little bit darker on the eyes than it is in the pan, which I really appreciate that quality in eyeshadows. It's super easy to blend, super easy to build. It's doing exactly what it is that I want it to do. And I think the blue is gonna look beautiful with these kind of berry tones. I might even do one of the blues on my lower lash line just to sort of, I don't know, tie it together and see what it's gonna look like. I think I'm gonna take the shade called King's Room because honestly, these two are sort of similar. So I think I'm gonna use this one on my lower lash line just because I haven't used this one yet. I have used this, so I'm gonna take this one and I'm just gonna smoke that out underneath my eye. Just connecting it ever so slightly in the outer corner, and then I'll go back in with the dark shade that I put on top and sort of just blend where the two meet. But I've had a really good time with the mattes in this palette. I think that they perform really, really nicely. I haven't had any issues at all. They stick well, they're nice and pigmented. They do what it is that I want them to do. Yeah, I'm really glad I used this shade because originally I wasn't going to in this look, but I think that looks really fun. So I'm just gonna go back in with the deepening shade here and just kind of tap over where these two colors meet. I don't want to over blend them, but I do want them to be somewhat blended together here. And I'm just gonna take a clean brush and work on the very outer edge of the eyeshadow. So I think this looks very nice. I'm gonna put on some glitter primer before we do that multi-chrome because I just prefer using the glitter primer with all of my shadows. You absolutely don't have to, but if you've tried it, you know how big of a difference it makes, and it just really makes eyeshadows pop. And I also find that I'm able to get like a bit of a smoother application when I do use a sticky base. And then on my lid, I'm gonna use the beautiful multi-chrome right in the middle here, and I'm just gonna slap that pretty much all over my lid here. And I'm gonna build this up to be as opaque and intense as I want it to be. If you prefer like a sheerer application, you can absolutely do that as well. I feel like you can use these multi-chromes in a lot of different ways, and they're also gonna look different depending on like what you layer it over the top of and what you blend it into. But I think these are gonna work very nicely together. And you can also just see like how smooth this is. Like, this isn't textured at all. It's just a very, very smooth metallic formula, which looks really, really nice on the eyes. So I really like how this is looking. Let's take a look at the shift in this and see. Oh yeah, you can see a very strong shift from blue to purple. And it's not just because I've layered it over like a purplish base on the outer corner, but you can definitely see the shift in that. I'm trying to show you, but I think you can see that very clearly. Like, that is beautiful. Like I said in the beginning, they're not the most intense multi-chromes, but they certainly do shift, and you can definitely see it, especially out in like different lighting and stuff. So I think this is all I'm going to do for the shadows for this look. I'm gonna take my Noctilucent palette and just grab the blue iridescent shade and put that in my inner corner, and then put on some lashes, and I'll come back and show you the other two looks that I've done as well. And here is my final look. I did put on some pretty small lashes, and these are from Lily Lashes. They're the Dreamy Lashes from the Butterfly Eyes collection. I think they're beautiful. They're half lashes that I didn't have to trim, and they just look They look like what I would like for my normal lashes to look like when I wear a lot of mascara. They just give me a lot of volume and a little bit of length, which they're not really a lot longer than my regular lashes, but I think they just look really nice. So I just wanted like a kind of small pair of lashes today, but just something to like just bump up the volume a little bit. So my thoughts on this palette, I'll show you the other two looks as I talk through. Bless you, that was my husband sneezing. But I think that, like I said in the beginning of the video, I think this is actually my favorite palette from Nomad. I think that they really killed it with this color story. I think they did so good getting the theme of the palette to match the inside, but also making a color story that's cohesive and easy to use. And I love the idea of having 2 rows of mattes with 1 row of multichromes. I think that is a great idea. It's kind of like the Tokyo palette that they have, where they also have sort of the same format with like 2 rows of mattes and satins and then 1 row of like special multichromes on the bottom. But here there are no satins, there are only mattes, and I really appreciate that. So I think that if this is a palette that looks like something that you would like, I think you would enjoy it, because I haven't had any problems with the formulas. I think that everything performed like a dream. I really like both of the looks that I did. The first look, I had to kind of finesse a little bit back and forth. I'm not sure how much I left in the footage, but I struggled a little bit to get the blends right, which was totally my own fault. Like I had a bad makeup day that day, and if it looks like I'm struggling, it's not the shadows, it was just me, because like I said, I struggled a little bit to just get everything to be the way that I wanted it to be, but everything just looks so good in the end, and I was so happy with the look. I was so happy with both of the looks. I think that the second look I did was beautiful as well, even though it was quite neutral, but I really just wanted to test out the sort of mustardy shades and the brown shade to go with it. The brown shade is not as I expected it to be more of a green-based brown, but it really wasn't. Like, it was more of like a gray-based brown, which was interesting, but I do feel like the 2 colors that I chose in my crease went really well together, and the multichrome, just to top it off, looked beautiful. So yeah, like I said, I think if you're interested in this palette and you want to pick this up, I don't think that you would be disappointed at all. And if you have anything else from Nomad and you like that, you're definitely going to like this, because it is a beautiful palette. So congrats to Nomad for making what is probably my favorite Nomad palette of all time, because I feel like this is the palette out of all of the ones that I have from Nomad that I'll be reaching for the most, because I really enjoyed the formulas in it, and I really like the multichromes, despite them not being as sort of in your face and as shifty and as metallic and as sparkly as some other shades in my collection. I know I can rely on these to wear well, and a lot of the time I can't with multichromes, because like I said, black-based multichromes in particular tend to crease a lot on me, but these did not, so that is a good thing. I think that's pretty much going to be it for this video. If you want to see some other Nomad videos, I do have a playlist. I think I'll put that right there. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.